In a major escalation of their feud, Hungary and Slovakia have halted all diesel deliveries to Ukraine after accusing Volodymyr Zelenskyy of cutting off their supply of oil from Russia. Viktor Orbán took to X Wednesday accusing Zelenskyy of forcing Hungary to rely on strategic reserves midwinter.
Hogy nem indítják újra a kőolajszállítást, az egy puszta politikai döntés.
Tekintsük át akkor, hogy állunk a barátság kőolajvezetékkel.
Az ukránok úgy döntöttek, hogy a kőolajszállítást a kőolajvezetéken nem indítják újra. Szeretném világossá tenni, hogy a barátság kőolajvezeték ma fizikailag, műszakilag és technikailag teljes egészében alkalmas arra, hogy kőolajat szállítson. Tehát az a döntés, hogy nem indítják újra a kőolajszállítást, az egy puszta politikai döntés.
Hungary and Slovakia are the only EU states still receiving significant and direct fuel supplies from Russia since the war in Ukraine began. They secured temporary exemptions from an EU policy prohibiting Russian imports, arguing their economies would collapse following a ban. The supply of oil through the Druzhba pipeline, which runs from Russia through Ukraine to the Central European countries, has been interrupted since the 27th of January, after what Ukraine calls Russian attacks on it. Hungary and Slovakia, however, accuse Zelenskyy of sabotage. Ukraine denies this. The Hungarian foreign minister countered, saying it was a political decision. The Prime Minister of Slovakia went as far as accusing Ukraine of blackmail.
Je šokujúce, že Ukrajina doteraz neposkytla a nechce poskytnúť žiadnu informáciu, čo sa vlastne stalo v tzv. Brodoch. To je ten bod, ktorý je akože momentálne prerušený. Dnes ukrajinský veľvyslanec, náš veľvyslanec na Ukrajine, podal oficiálnu nótu na predstaviteľov Ukrajiny so žiadosťou, aby nám vysvetlili, prečo nie sú dodávky ropy, ktoré patria spoločnosti Slovnaft, prečo sme poškodzovaní a prečo sme opätovne nútení ako pri plyne hľadať nejaké iné alternatívy, ktoré sú drahšie a predovšetkým, ktoré nás vedú k plateniu vyšších tarifných poplatkov. Čakám, že nejakú odpoveď dostaneme, súčasne však chceme byť aj trošku efektívnejší. Navrhnem našemu veľvyslancovi, aby požiadal o možnosť navštíviť Brody, nielen on, ale aj expertná skupina zo Slovenska. Nech na vlastné oči vidíme, čo sa vlastne v tých Brodoch stalo, či to poškodenie je také, ako tvrdí Ukrajina, alebo je to výmysel, pretože naše spravodajské informácie, opakujem, hovoria, že je to opravené a technicky pripravené na dodávky ropy. Ďalej chcem dodať, dámy a páni, že sa obrátime na Európsku komisiu. Aj Európska komisia musí mať záujem, aby poslala monitorovaciu skupinu a pozrela sa, čo sa vlastne stalo v tých Brodoch, pretože ak je to politické vydieranie, ako to bolo pri plyne, tak je to plne neakceptovateľné. Ak sa potvrdí naše podozrenie, že ide o politické vydieranie, tak bude postupne strácať našu podporu.
Hungary had attempted to reroute its supplies through Croatia.
Magyarország kőolajellátása biztonságban van jelenleg, hogyha tengeri útvonalon beérkezik az orosz kőolaj, annak van egy világos menetrendje, hogy március elejére Horvátországba ér, onnan 5-10 napig felér, így tehát március közepétől nem lesz szükség a stratégiai tartalék felhasználására, amennyiben mindenki betartja a rávonatkozó európai szabályokat.
Croatia, which was rebuffed. The Croatian economy minister said there are, quote, no technical excuses left for staying tied to Russian crude for any EU country. Viktor Orbán is seeking re-election to a fifth term as Prime Minister of Hungary. The election has focused on national sovereignty and the right of Hungary to decide its own fate. Orbán has accused the EU and Ukraine of interfering in the country's internal affairs.
Óriási a nyomás, és az nő rajtunk, tehát nem csak ukrán oldalról, hanem Brüsszel irányából, tehát a harapófogó mindkét pofáját szorítják, amivel a szlovákokat és bennünket bele akarnak szorítani egy háborúpárti álláspontba. És ez a nyomás, ez nő. Ez nem mindig gusztusos, a legkevésbé sem udvarias, néha egészen durva, alpári, különösen ami Kijevből jön, de a brüsszeliek se sokkal maradnak el. Ez bírni kell, tehát két lehetőségünk van, vagy nem bírjuk ezt a nyomást egy válveregetés érdekében, föladjuk a pozíciónkat és betagozódunk a háborúpártiak közé, vagy a sarkunkra állunk és azt mondjuk, hogy mi ebből ki fogunk maradni.
Orban has brandished his credentials as the leader who, under great pressure, resisted Europe's embrace of mass migration and woke identity politics. The country goes to the polls in April. Donald Trump has taken the unusual step of endorsing his re-election. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Hungary's preferential treatment has been down to Orban's personal relationship with the president.
President Trump is deeply committed to your success because your success is our success. Because this relationship we have here in Central Europe through you is so essential and vital for our national interests in the years to come that, if you face financial struggles, if you face things that are impediments to growth, if you face things that threaten the stability of your country, I know that President Trump will be very interested because of your relationship with him and because of this importance to this country, to us, to finding ways to provide assistance if that moment ever were to arise, and obviously with regards to finances and the like. The president has an extraordinarily close relationship to the prime minister. He does, and it has had tangible benefits in our relationship. I'm not going to speculate about the future. What happens in this country is up to the voters of this country to determine and decide, and we love the people of Hungary. But there's no reason to sugarcoat it. I'm going to be very blunt with you. The Prime Minister and the President have a very, very close personal relationship and working relationship, and I think it has been incredibly beneficial to the relationship between our two countries. Those sanctions waivers happened, as much as anything else, because of the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President. And so I think all I can tell you is that relationship and the importance of that relationship and the importance of that relationship to our bilateral relationship underpins the decision the President made.
The friendship will be viewed unfavourably by Sir Keir Starmer, with Trump's support for Orban seen as undermining Western European positions on immigration, Ukraine and Russia. In his feud with Zelenskyy, Orban has gone so far as to accuse Ukraine of election interference. Mr. Orban's enthusiasm for the Trump administration stands in sharp contrast to the rest of Europe. Last week, Sir Keir Starmer set out his intention to tie Britain closer to the EU.
So I say to all NATO members, our commitment to Article 5 is as profound now as ever. And be in no doubt, if called on, the UK would come to your aid today. Now, Europe must not turn its back on this. Instead, we must move forward together to create a more European NATO. As I see it, Europe is a sleeping giant. Our economies dwarf Russia's more than 10 times over. We have huge defence capabilities. Yet, too often, this adds up to less than the sum of its parts. Fragmented industrial planning and procurement have led to gaps in some areas and massive duplication in others. Europe has over 20 types of frigate and 10 types of fighter jet. We have over 10 types of main battle tank, whilst the US has one. It's wildly inefficient, and it harms our collective security. Now, the US security umbrella has allowed these bad habits to develop, but now we must break them. And we have shown that we can coordinate to great effect, as Ursula has just set out, supporting Ukraine in a way that Putin never really imagined, creating the coalition of the willing, which now covers almost all of Europe, as well as Canada and our friends in the Asia-Pacific. And going further in our support, with the UK announcing over £500 million this week for more air defence for the Ukrainian people. To meet the wider threat, it is clear that we are going to have to spend more faster. And we've shown our collective intent in this regard as well, with the historic agreement to increase spending to 5% on security and defence. and we're prepared to explore innovative solutions. So we're stepping up work with like-minded allies on options for a collective approach to defence financing to help accelerate this vital investment. And as we increase spending, we must use it to its full potential. We must come together to integrate our capabilities, spending and procurement, and build a joint European defence industry